Welcome to the Municipality of South Dundas Municipal Council meeting for Wednesday, December 10th. I have a motion letter resolve that council rise and reconvene into open session at 6:11 p.m. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Confirmation of agenda. Any additions, deletions, or amendments to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I have a motion. Let it resolve that the Council of South Dundas approve the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Tonight, there's two items. We have a delegation on the Morrisburg Plaza that I will participate in as a viewer, but I will declare under 11A, key information report, Morrisburg Plaza. Councilor Vino.
I'll declare on the same item.
Okay, very good. Moving to adoption of minutes. Any omissions or errors in the meeting minutes of November 26, 2025? Seeing none, I have a motion. Let it resolve that the meeting minutes of the following be adopted as presented. November 26, 2025, regular council meeting. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're going to move into delegations. So we have Iroquois Marine Search and Rescue. We have John Bridge with us. Welcome, John. Thank you for waiting for us.
It's always a pleasure to wait and see you all. Good evening and season's greetings to everyone. For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is John Bridge. I'm the unit leader at IMSA, Iroquois Marine Search and Rescue. This evening I'm just going to go over what we've done in our first year, how it went. Just a nice, straightforward annual review. I'm not going to hold you up because, like I said earlier, I'm sure you all want to be barbecuing and sitting on the deck right now. So taskings. So taskings are when we're tasked by the Joint Rescue Coordination Centre to go and assist people. We had 8 taskings this year, which is kind of where we thought we were going to be. Obviously, taskings are you want to be doing the taskings, but you're happy that you're not, because if you're doing them, people aren't safe. But when you're doing them, you're there for what you need to be doing. So we had 8 taskings this year. 4 we were stood down for before we actually departed the dock. So that means that someone has helped the person in trouble, which is great. There's someone closer than we are, and they've helped them. We had various calls. Broken down vessels. We had a possible, can you hear me? Possible boat fire right at the start of the year, which got us started. And then right through to the end of the year, we responded to the 10 divers when the boat sunk in Chrysler Park Marina. So we've had a wide range of stuff, engine breakdowns, people in trouble. Yeah, that's the responding to the taskings we responded to. Something I didn't put on there, our response time. So our response time from when I received the call from the Rescue Coordination Centre, the stopwatch starts. So our response time, average through the season, to get a boat on the water to respond. I looked last night, it was just over 11 minutes. So that's from the time I get the call here to put a crew together and actually on the boat, ready to go, 11 minutes, which for our first year, I'm pretty happy with.
That's good. That's
yeah.
Great. Yeah.
So you can see there, they included the broken down vessels, missing persons. We responded to a call for a missing person in Long Sault. So as you can see, we were always greeted with a smile and a hearty thanks. Everyone was happy to see us when we're helping them. It was great. We worked with different units, what's the word I'm looking for? Organisations. So we worked with the RCMP on the search for the missing persons, coordinated a joint search pattern plan so that we could work together to cover as much water as we possibly could in the time we were given to do what we needed to do as quickly as possible. Along with that, we attended numerous events throughout the community. I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen us out and about. Float for Autism, Apple Fest, quiz nights, all about the river, Canada Day. Like anywhere we can promote the unit to help in the community, we'll attend. It's like we love doing that stuff, and we love being part of the community. For anyone that doesn't know, there's no paid position on our unit. It's 100% volunteer. So as you can see on here, our crew this year has put in just about 2,200 volunteer hours across the unit. Now, that's great, but it doesn't take into account the hundreds and hundreds of hours that everyone's on standby waiting for that call. So on this paperwork here, you don't see the hours that I log them. I see them because I have to report them. But the hours that people put in to say they're available to go on taskings any time of the day or night. And then it goes to we responded to the dive boat, and that was on the Thanksgiving Sunday at 6:30 on the Sunday evening. I was away. I had a coxswain who I spoke to. He responded, and he's, really now? I went, yes, get going. And we were on the water in, I would think, just under 10 minutes. So the response time is great. The crew's been great. We've been active everywhere as well as much as we can be. So the big thing, fuel. So along with Crystal's help, I submitted a grant request for some fuel, which we'll get to. Every time we refuel the boat, because of the financial side of it, we were pulling the boat out, taking her to Cardinal and filling her up at the gas station, because it was cheaper for us to do that than purchase fuel at the marina. It was tough, it's hard, but the numbers on the next page, if you see, we broke it down and we figured that to fill up our boat is give or take about $700-800, and through the year we saved a tank of fuel by getting the boat out and taking her to Cardinal to get it to get fueled up there. Now obviously that takes time, it takes people to do it, and the boat's out of the water. If we get down there and we have to respond to a call, it's like a rush, we've got to get back. I put in the requests that we could purchase fuel from the marina at a rate that it's in the grant. And I don't talk very well like this. I can talk a lot better.
Yeah, just to expand on that. So you've applied through our grants and donations.
Yes.
Yeah, for a rebate on the fuel, and we will address that at our January council meeting when we bring them all forward. Just
perfect.
Very good. Your request is this is why you're requesting it.
Yeah,
it's in the paperwork.
And this year coming up, we're going to be looking to have the boat in the water a lot longer this year. We had an engine failure close to the end of last year, which restricted what we could do to the point that we had to go out of service. The part we needed, our port engine, blew our oil pump, and we could have responded with one engine, but it was time restricted to if we needed to go anywhere. We just didn't have the speed to react. But we would have gone. It would have just taken us a little bit longer to get there. The boat's out of the water. We made the decision to take the boat out of the water a little bit early because of that engine problem. That's going to cost us just over $5,000, and the part has to be brought in from Japan. So, come next year, we're going to look to have the boat in the water at the start of April. Hey, weather conditions, if it's warm and better, we'll have the boat in before that, and we'll be running a little bit longer. If people can launch a boat to fish or hunt, they're going to. They don't worry about the cold. It's just if they can get the boat in the water. Those people right now have no support if they get in trouble. We want to be there to support the people that use the water I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what we do our training for. So hopefully next year our season will start a bit earlier and we'll run a bit longer. That, of course, is obviously going to increase our fuel usage. So when thinking about the request, please think about that, because we have to find all this money for ourselves. We get a small, for anyone that doesn't know, we get a small amount of funding through training to cover our fuel costs. And when we're on taskings, we get a small amount of funding to cover our fuel costs there as well. We were through our training money halfway through last season. So anything that second half of the season, that fuel came from donations and anything that we'd saved up. So anything that can be done is huge for us. So what's next for IMSAR? The end of February, we're going to be going to the Ottawa Boat Show. We attended last year. We weren't sure how it was going to go. Had an amazing response. There's so many people that don't necessarily come from this area, but come to this area. They come on holiday. They come to boat. They come to fish. So it gave us a great chance to promote not only the unit, but the area. Like, people were asking questions. What's it like? What marina does this? What marina does that? I have people on my crew that have boats in the area, so they could help me answer all the questions. And it was just the response, like I say, not only from people outside of the community who come to the community. So it's good to promote us there. I have 5 crew members that will be doing their phase 1, phase 2 theory and on water examinations. That's Transport Canada's certification. And I'm also going to be looking to take on 10 new people in the new year to strengthen our crew. I have 2 people that I would like to put forward to go on the RIOT course, Rigid Hull Operator Training course. That's in Parry Sound. That's a week-long course. I'm hoping I get clearance from the Coast Guard to send 2 guys, which will then strengthen us to have coxswains and have coxswains for allocated crews, because you have to have that certification to take the boat out. So I need Mark to come and join us. I keep asking.
He could be. What's the person that you pretend to rescue? No, not that. No.
It was funny because the first tasking we had, it was in Prescott by the bridge at Johnstown, and we'd just been to Prescott to say hi to the marina and the boats there, and we were going back and we heard the call, and it was like a quarter of a mile away from where we are. And as we turned around, there's Mark going back the other way, Byers way, even.
For the record, I turned around, but I saw you coming and said you were
true.
better equipped than I was to help them.
And that is true, because we saw him. So, yeah, that's it for me. We're going to be back in service April, like I say, if not sooner. And we'll be here longer. We intend to attend all the events again. We'll be doing the quiz nights. Like I say, the support from not only the community but everyone around has been absolutely phenomenal in our first year. It's gave us a great start, and we want to grow on that, grow in the community, and just grow as a unit to strengthen what we do to help everyone on the water. And that's it. That's all I have for you.
Awesome.
So, season's greetings, happy Christmas. Well, it's Merry Christmas over here, isn't it?
Well, thanks, John. Definitely appreciate you coming down and give us a report and having an annual connection with the work you're doing and the volunteers that are helping us out in the community. I got 2 or 3 points I'd like to make. One is we probably can't value how much those public events are, just talking about boat safety and being eyes out there and all that. So that's a benefit. So like you said, like the less calls, the better, and being out there in the public. And I hadn't thought about, you being the city of Ottawa or other places, and it helps promote our community. So that was an interesting point. Secondly, obviously, we could have used it last March when we had the person stuck on the ice floe, so getting in early. And I saw somebody fishing just 2 weeks ago in front of my house in the river. So yes, so earlier and later having it operational is great. I do have a question just on funding. So I know you cover from Prescott to Long Sault area, which covers the town of Prescott, Edwardsburg Cardinal, obviously South Dundas, and so Stormont. Are any other municipalities making any donations or funding to you at this time yet?
So at this time, no.
Okay.
I will be revisiting them in the new year. I was looking back at when I presented to them last year, and the dates for Prescott were in just after Christmas, and the same with Long Sault.
Yeah. Okay.
But I haven't done it. I haven't had any response from Cardinal at all.
Very good. Thank you on that one. Any other questions or comments? Very good. Okay. Awesome. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, John, and
Thank you all.
Thank you to you and your crew. Very much appreciate
Thank you.
it. Yeah.
Take care. Stay safe.
Very good. Okay, moving on our delegations via Zoom. We have from preliminary design, we're going to review the Morrisburg Plaza redevelopment. So this is a briefing on the design. Dr. Jansen, you want to kick us off? Okay.
Yeah, so
very
I'll
good.
give a quick introduction while Brittany brings her slides up here. I believe she's going to share screen. So as council will remember, early summer, we started the design brief here at the Morrisburg Plaza. So Brittany and her team at Greer Galloway have been on site. They've done a full review. I know, I'm sure many of council got some of the phone calls with regards to some of the locates out there. So we've located all the services. We've started the design brief, and I know I have a report coming later tonight. And kind of the goal from the design brief is it's testing the feasibility and doing the preliminary design. So sort of taking those findings so that way we can take all those findings, the feasibility, the preliminary ideas, and tune them in whenever her team and us work through and staff work through the detailed design. So hopefully technology is on our side today, and we'll be hearing from Brittany.
Brittany, can you hear us?
Yeah.
She's texting there. Hi, can you hear us? Oh no, you're texting. Well, that was a short report.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I can't hear anyone on your end.
Yeah, Brittany, do you hear us? Right.
Really, eh?
Are you ready for my presentation, or
Okay.
it's just easier to type in the chat and then?
It's coming out of the TV and our speakers, I think. One day we'll get through technical difficulties.
Well, you should see us at work. So we're Google, right? And everybody else works on Teams. And when I get people on Google, they have no clue how to share and how to communicate. It's just like, and then they get yelling at me like, "Why don't you tell your boss to change the Teams?" Yeah, I'm just gonna go into the monitors. I just tell them to change the whole company from Google to Teams. Just,
Share my screen, and then I'll make sure that you guys can see everything on that end. Can you guys see my screen? Apologize. Oops. I am Brittany Rothwell, and I am the project manager on this project, the Morrisburg Plaza redevelopment. And we were retained by the municipality of South Dundas just earlier this year to help assist with some preliminary designs and then through to detailed design. So I just want to kind of go through a high level overview of sort of where we were and where we're at now, and then just kind of next steps going forward. So I just want to talk about sort of the project overview and objectives, some of the existing conditions that are there now, the preliminary design investigation that we did, and the design concepts that led to that, the parking options, specifically kind of around the store frontage there, and then some sidewalk and canopy options, a little bit about the pedestrian flow, future enhancements, the lighting at the site, and then kind of just an overview of the utilities and drainage and pavement for the parking lot. So just a little bit of an overview of the objective for this project, just really aiming to improve some safety, accessibilities, and then just the overall appearance of the parking lot as it is kind of the main area in Morrisburg there. So just making it look a little more aesthetically pleasing. One of the objectives was, and discussions that we had with the municipality was just regarding the store frontage parking there, and looking at possibly removing that just for, again, some safety concerns, and then widening the sidewalks in that area. Also looking at upgrading some of the lighting, doing the drainage redesign, and then the aging infrastructure that is under the parking lot currently, just to create kind of a more welcoming area for some of the residents in the area, pedestrians coming into town, and then the local businesses that have their businesses in this area. So just kind of taking some of these improvements and modernizing the plaza, just for kind of longevity and long-term growth for this area. So some of the existing conditions right now, a couple of the key issues that were identified, some safety hazards, vehicles backing into the active live lanes of traffic. Again, talking about sort of that store frontage, that angled parking there. There was some areas or many areas of heaved and uneven sidewalks, which now have some accessibility issues, and then just kind of sort of poor pedestrian vehicle separation just with the current configuration of the parking lot. Some of the lighting deficiencies that have been noted is, some of the poles are extremely rusty, aging fixtures, and the illumination throughout the parking lot doesn't seem to be consistent, and some malfunctioning photo cells, as you'd see often with these older parking lots and lighting systems. So the infrastructure condition, again, sidewalks and the canopy foundations, a lot of them are deteriorating, misaligned, heaved in certain areas. The actual parking lot itself has a lot of potholes, cracking, and then just some patchwork from little jobs that have been done over the years to try and kind of maintain it a little bit better. Some of the downspouts are discharging into the walkways, which obviously causes an issue when it becomes colder weather. These areas icing and causing a safety concern. There's poor grading and localized ponding, which again happens over time with these aging parking lots. And then the aging stormwater and sewer infrastructure. A lot of there was some information provided to us prior to the project that kind of highlighted some investigation that was done, showing that there's a lot of the infrastructure is kind of at its end of life. And then our electrical team did a review of the electrical panels, and just noting that there's some underground feeds requiring upgrades as well. So just a couple pictures from their site visits on obviously some cracking here, some potholes. And again, aging pavement structure. And you can kind of see from this photo here, the one of the poles is extremely rusted. These are things that we would be looking at replacing and upgrading. And then again, just some cracking kind of on the main road there, as we've seen throughout the entire parking lot and the mainline roadway there. So as part of preliminary design investigation, our team completed a topographic survey and they did their parking lot condition assessment. We did have some geotechnical investigation done as well. And then reviewing of the CCTV or the cammering that was done for the sewer inspection reports that were previously completed. The electrical source and feed investigation and conditions assessment was done by our electrical team. And then we did have a meeting with some of the municipal staff and Rideau St. Lawrence distribution, just regarding some of the electrical and some of the hopes that the municipality had would kind of come out of doing this redesign for the parking lot. So through that, we did come up with a couple design options for the parking lot. Two of them were come up with options A and B. There was a report provided to us that was done quite a number of years ago where there was a bunch of different layouts completed and then one ultimately recommended. So we kind of took the best of all of that and sort of enhanced it a little bit more for sort of our preferred option, and then provided another option just in case that one wasn't what you were looking for. So both options in this case are suggesting the removal of the angled storefront parking for traffic circulation improvement. There's just, again, some safety concerns with backing out of any angled parking space. It's the visibility is just not as great. And then both concepts would involve regrading to support the drainage, and then possible new sidewalk network as well. And then both options would include obviously appropriate accessibility requirements. So this was just option A. There was so we'd again removed the storefront parking, would be putting in some form of concrete sidewalk here, and then just having specific kind of barrier curbs all along here. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse just kind of highlighting here, but just delineating between where the traffic is flowing and where you're parking, and then ultimately like getting out to walk. We've provided these areas would be a visual cue for pedestrians walking across to kind of give them more of a location where it would be maybe safer to cross. And then providing kind of some sidewalk along here and some connectivity along here just to kind of connect to the other businesses on the other side of the road as well. So that was kind of option one. And again, with this option, it was the parking stalls. I believe it was just shy of 300 spaces with this option. So again, there's a decent amount of parking that would be maintained or increased in this configuration. And then this one just slightly less in terms of parking stalls. But again, same thing, kind of removing the parking here. He's got it where you remove the angled parking, but to try and kind of squeeze in a few more parking spots, there is kind of a little more store frontage parking here, which would require a little more design in terms of direction and flow of traffic still along the street there. But it was just an alternate option just to have some comparison. So the parking options along the storefront, there was also 3 options provided in here. So there was retained angled parking, which we've talked about. We have a few safety concerns with that, maintaining that option. Removing the store frontage parking, which would also allow us to put in some concrete sidewalks there. And then the third option was just to provide sort of some like a 5-minute loading zone, or just as kind of a compromise to allowing people to still have that store frontage sort of access for drop off or pickup, but not having it as a full parking spot. So just kind of a visual view. This is what you currently have, and option 1 would be maintaining something like that if that was the chosen option. Just kind of a conceptual image of what it could look like if you were to remove that and just put in some concrete sidewalks there. And then again, this would obviously be a little more detailed and figuring out kind of whether you wanted like an actual pull in or just kind of a slip off to the side while you kind of do a load and unload, but just again an area that can be discussed for sort of a compromised option between the two. Some sidewalk options for these areas were reviewed. So there's the standard concrete option, which is obviously the most cost effective. Stamped concrete would help with a visual enhancement, slightly more work, a little more costs involved with that. And then the third option was to do an interlocking brick similar to what you have in between the store frontage kind of to the side there. It provides a premium aesthetic, but a lot more work involved, and hence a lot more cost involved as well. And then the recommendation for the canopy foundations would be to replace them all, just while we're actually doing the concrete sidewalk options here. So just again, kind of a view of what it could look like with the standard concrete as option one, stamped concrete as a second option. It obviously doesn't need to be colored. It could just kind of have whatever pattern. There's multiple different patterns that could be put in here as well. And then just an interlocking brick option as well. So for the pedestrian flow and connectivity, enhancing that store frontage sidewalk 3 to 5 meters allows just kind of having more of a space for pedestrians to walk and access those store frontages. Defined routes and marked crossings, and then the connectivity through Castle Road there to the east end of the promenade and across to the businesses across from Highway 2 as well. So again, just increasing this store frontage sidewalk. And then this would just kind of be a little conceptual view of what the markings could look like, just to delineate where the pedestrians should walk from the new parking area. Some future enhancements that were reviewed for the area, just couple options for like landscaping, seating areas, garbage enclosures, heated sidewalks, and then the new EV charging stations that you're seeing a lot of parking lots have in there for the electric vehicles. So just some visuals for you, kind of could be an enclosure for the garbage area, make it a little more visually appealing. Some heated sidewalks. Again, this is an option that comes with additional costs and additional problems, only because it's really difficult once you place concrete on these elements to do any kind of fixes if something goes wrong. The options that we've provided do have concrete sections that could have some kind of greenery that we would even recommend. Just keeping it simplistic would be the recommendation, but this is just kind of an option for visual. Option for maybe some seating or some planters outside the businesses, just to kind of attract more of the local residents, people coming to visit, to kind of stay there and be there a little bit longer. And then the EV charging stations. Again, there's a bunch of different options that you can get for these, but this is just kind of a visual view of there could be some parking spots that had these designated for them for those vehicles. Our electrical team did do some review for the lighting design as well. So they've provided a couple different pole lighting options, and then a couple different lighting options for the walkway itself. And then just kind of a general overview of where these lights would go. So the pole lighting options, there's the acorn style, the cobra head style, and the triangular head style. The acorn style is currently what is running along Highway 2, so it would be probably a suggestion to maybe look at that as an option, just to kind of mimic that and have some cohesiveness between the two. So those are just some different options. Also for the pole and the accessories, so there's pole colors that can be added as well. There's different finishes that you can choose from. I mean, obviously the recommendation, kind of given what's in the area, would probably be to go with the black. But there's also a bunch of different pole accessory options that could be added to be able to enhance the visual there as well. And then just a couple options that were provided for the walkway there. there was low profile downlight, cylindrical downlight, and then lantern style. So again, just personal preference on what the business owners want to see and the municipality would like to see in that area. So this is just the areas kind of highlighted of where the poles themselves would go. So just kind of, this was the option A that gave the most parking. And we felt it was the most, the better option of the two, I guess I should say. But these highlighted red areas are just where they would look at putting those poles for the lighting for the parking lot. And then just to touch a little bit on utilities, drainage, and pavement. So the underground infrastructure is definitely in need of replacement in most areas. And just while we're actually going and doing such large modifications to the parking lot already, it makes the most sense to be able to replace this network underneath while we're here. A lot of the new products for the storm and the sanitary are have a longer service life, so it would be a good time to be able to upgrade those right now. And then it would just depend on whether we can even remove some sections of the network just to kind of optimize what's going on under there, just based on the option that we choose for the parking lot. So once that's chosen, we can kind of figure out where all of the underground infrastructure needs to go to make the most sense. As part of that, also, we would redirect the downspouts into the storm system just to mitigate that issue of these downspouts outletting onto the sidewalk and causing some safety concerns. Full depth asphalt reconstruction is definitely preferred, and if we're doing the underground network, it will definitely have to be done that way. But if there's an issue with sort of costing of things, there can be some areas that we maybe look at that could be milled in certain areas, provided that they're not severely deteriorated. So just some of our next steps is just to finalize the preferred option for the parking lot layout and incorporating any modifications. We can have another meeting with the municipality just to kind of go over some of those things. And then to complete a full grading design and underground infrastructure upgrades, upgrading the sidewalks as well, and then confirming lighting preferences and the electrical design, preparing the cost estimate, and then just developing the tender ready detailed design, including all drawings and the tender packages for contractors. So with that being said, does anyone have any specific questions? I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, do you want me to keep sharing my screen?
No, that's okay. Thanks, Brittany, for sharing your slides and all the information. We are having our own discussion with Director Jansen later in the meeting. Any questions specifically for Brittany at this point? We can let her go, and then Councillor Vino and I will step out, and then you guys can continue with Director Jansen later in our meeting. But I think that's great. Appreciate.
Have a good night.
Okay. Moving on to 7A, action request, FS 2025-11, year-end 2025 surplus and deficits. Treasurer Stewart.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Broad. So as 2025 is fast approaching the end, finance is pivoting from budget to closing the financial year. Staff will be looking to transfer the surpluses and deficits in preparation for our annual audit. We're bringing this resolution to confirm Council's direction on the surpluses and deficits for the 2025 fiscal year. So if there's any questions.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I have a motion to resolve the Council Municipality of South Dundas authorize all surplus deficits as of December 31st, 2025 be transfers as described in the attached Schedule A. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward, all in favor? Carried. Continuing along, Treasurer Stewart, B, FS 2025-12, excluded expenses report 2025.
So the purpose of the excluded expense report is to identify the expenses that are excluded from the budget. So the budget being based on cash requirements versus that of the reported on the financial statement, which is a PSAB requirement. Essentially, what it does is it bridges your budget to your financial statements, and ultimately, it's a requirement it's a requirement under OREG 28409 that we present this to council annually.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, I have a motion, let it be resolved that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas approve the 2025 excluded expenses report attached as Schedule A. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. And 7C, PE 25-21, proposed amendment to a zoning bylaw 2010. Looks like we have Peter Young with us tonight. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. So this is an application in Iroquois for rezoning to permit a commercial garage. Council may recall we had a public meeting in July. Quite a few neighbors came out noting that they had a lot of concerns about the noise, hours of operation, the impact on their properties. Council directed us to defer the matter and go back, meet with the owner, see if we can come up with an alternative site plan. You can see the report has a summary of the timeline, some of the items have happened to date, some enforcement action there as well. Ultimately, we've received like one idea in August and one just kind of back and forth this week. But again, it's as in described in the report, it's not meeting those concerns that were raised by the neighbors. The setbacks we've seen proposed are more, let's say 1 meter or 3 meters with the fence, and still having the whole bottom part of the property staying as part of the garage, the bottom 2 acres. And that were some of the major concerns with that use expanding all the way to the bottom of the property. When we had our first report, we had recommended at least 12 meters, like a much larger setback. So based on what we've received to date and the application as it's submitted, we're recommending council refuse the amendment.
Very good. I support your recommendation. Any other comments or questions? I have a motion. Let it resolve the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas hereby refuses bylaw 2025-56, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2010-48 with respect to lands legally described as Plan 47, Part Lot 1, RP 8 R2275, Part 1, former Township of Matilda, Municipality of South Dundas. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Director Young. Bylaws. 8A, 2025-87, water and wastewater 26 rates. Treasurer Stewart.
Through you, Mayor Broad. The bylaw before you is for the 2026 Morrisburg and Iroquois water and wastewater rates, as well as the water and wastewater connection fees that were discussed during budget deliberation on December 5th. Once this bylaw is approved by council, staff can direct RSL to build the new rates starting January 1st, 2026. And also the municipality can apply the new connection fees to permits starting in 2026.
Questions or comments? Delivering as requested. Thank you very much. Let it resolve that bylaw 2025-87 being a bylaw to amend Schedule B to bylaw number 2017-58 to enact rules and regulations. Is this? Do. What's that? This, sorry, this. I missed that resolution. Am I? No. Okay, sorry. The regulations to repair, replace all. It's the wrong, yep. Right. Yeah, we could just amend, but I see the right regulation to say. So it would be. No, that's not the. So, is it correct? Maybe it's mine.
Can I just recommend that we circle back to this and
Sure,
let me
okay.
get the right
Okay, very good. Apologies.
resolution?
Okay. And I could be incorrect, so just double check, please. 8B, 2025 89 amendment speed bylaw, speed limit reduction, Chest Road. Director Hyman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you, you'll find the report for the speed reduction on Chest Road from a presently 80 kilometer an hour speed zone down to a 70 kilometer an hour speed zone. This is for consideration for council. So a little bit of the background. Chest Road is a rural dead-end road with a number of residential dwellings along its length. The road operates under an 80 kilometer an hour speed limit. Recent concerns from residents have prompted a comprehensive speed study using traffic monitoring equipment owned by the municipality of South Dundas. The study collected data over a 21-day period with measuring 1,360 incoming vehicles and 1,065 outgoing vehicles. So the equipment used is our radar speed sign. It tracks both incoming and outgoing at the same time. So where it was placed on Chest Road, we were able to capture both speeds coming in and leaving. So discussions for council. So under the Highway Traffic Act, the municipalities have the authority to establish speed limits on highways under their jurisdiction. Specifically, Section 128.1, that no person shall drive a motor vehicle at a rate of speed greater than the applicable speed limit. And the second part is Section 128, that the municipality by bylaw may designate a different speed limit on a highway or portion of highway under their jurisdiction. So you do have that option to create your own speed limit as long as it does not exceed 100 kilometers an hour. So the proposed speed limit reduction from 80 kilometers an hour to 70 kilometers an hour falls within the municipality's regulatory authority to establish appropriate speed limits based on road characteristics, traffic patterns, and safety concerns. So I will note that the municipality has received numerous emails from residents requesting that the speed limit be even lower than the proposed 70. I've seen emails coming in as 50 kilometers an hour as well as 60 kilometers an hour. So the rationale for their further reduction is resulting from concerns related to high rates of speed from trucks, buses, and passenger vehicles. Safety and lack of pedestrian sidewalks is another one of their concerns. So per the analysis completed by staff below, the recommended staff speed limit of 70 is consistent with industry standards and deemed appropriate for the roadside environment. Again, council may choose to go lower than they wish. So what you see for the speed distribution analysis is from our radar detector or our speed detector tracking incoming vehicles of 1,360 and outgoing of 1,065. Key findings that some people do like to use the speed detector as a radar gun. So you'll see speeds of in the excess of between 107 and 115 kilometers an hour, which is what I would consider indicating a gross disrespect to fellow road users and people who walk on the road. So I've provided rationale for the 70 kilometer an hour speed limit. Budget implications is strictly I need to order a sign. Whatever rate of speed council so chooses, I will then order a speed sign which indicates that speed and will install the sign at our earliest convenience. So I can answer any questions which you may have at this time.
Questions, comments? Councillor Ward?
It's just more of a comment, Mayor, is obviously reducing the speed limit to 70 isn't going to guarantee that no one's going to speed on the road. So I just want the residents to be aware, even if we dropped it to 50, if we dropped it to 40, there's still going to be people who don't follow the speed limit. We see that on every road. So I just also want to put a word of caution because while I might not find this one to be too big of an issue because it is a dead end road, I don't want more residents to think, like for example, on my road, I know people go above the speed of 80 kilometers an hour. And I know we've had this discussion at the council table before about kind of determining when to receive those speed requests, and especially in a reduction. So just to keep in mind that lowering a speed limit doesn't guarantee pedestrian safety, nor does it guarantee that people will follow it. That comes from enforcement, which is a different discussion. But I just want to make sure that the public understands that, because I think there's been some feedback that I've gotten that lowering it will automatically resolve those issues, and I'm hesitant to say that it will. So,
Councillor Smith?
Through you, Mayor Broad. So the first question I had was, how does it measure 1,300 going one way and 1,000 going the other way on a dead end? You would think everyone that goes in has to come out, right?
Through you, Mayor Brad, exactly. But it's, yeah, that's the numbers that it populated when I downloaded the numbers off of the radar.
So the next question I guess I would have maybe just to council on this, if we go ahead and approve this one at 70, is this going to just open up a rabbit hole of everybody else wanting their road dropped to 70, and how many more roads are we going to have to buy signs for moving forward? Or is this one just going to be a one-off?
Yeah, I think to Councillor Ward's point, that's a good question for us. Obviously, each one would come in independently. We would have to then decide on that. Director Hyman?
So through you, Mayor Broad, to Councillor Smith. So as concerns come in, I think it then allows us to take our signage out and install it. In the 2026 budget, I put in for the purchase of the tubes that go on the road. So that's going to be a secondary defense for data and analysis, which I can then lean on CAO DeHaan to help interpret those numbers. But it also allows us to check the boxes that, yes, we're out on the road. Yes, we're doing our due diligence as a municipality to install the signage as concerns come in. And then it gives us an appropriate daily traffic. If we want to use it, leave it up for 20 days, then we can kind of get an average of, well, what kind of commuters are on this road or roadway, which would then help with our asset management. There's numerous other benefits that we can get out of it by having somebody come in and question a speed limit concern. So, yes, I'm open to those options as concerns come in.
Right, and you can certainly understand why the ministry puts out rules and regulations all about it, so that we're not haphazardly having requests all over the country, ironically enough, to change speed limits all the time, to both your points. Councillor Vino.
Yeah, through your mayor, similar to the points that have already been brought up here, but we could lower the speed limit on that road to 5 kilometers an hour, and without a cruiser sitting at the end of it, it won't make any difference in my opinion. This road being a little bit different, being a dead end, I think I'm okay with, dropping the speed limit. I think from 80 to 70 is not really much of a drop. I'd bring it right down to 60 or 50 myself. But again, having that sign there is not really, in my opinion, going to fix the problem. But because it's a dead end road, I think it takes it out of, to Councillor Smith's point, like it's a little bit different than if somebody wanted to come and reduce, I don't know, a Rowena or something where it's straight through. So again, like I'm comfortable doing it. I'm also comfortable not, just because I really don't think a different number on a sign on the road without any additional enforcement is going to fix this issue.
Councillor Ward?
can I ask two questions
Yeah,
now
of
that
course.
council's kind of brought some information to me and then Director Hyman raised some points. So number one is, through you, Mayor, to the director, do we share this information with the OPP when we see this? We do.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Broad, yes, we'll definitely follow up with the OPP and say, listen, we've had some concerns. Here's the data from our radar. Can you please make an honest attempt?
And then can I ask a follow-up? So to that point, since this is a dead-end road, hypothetically, there's no through-fare traffic, likelihood of the people that are speeding probably live on that road? Would I be correct in making that assumption?
Through you, Mayor Broad, I think you would be very correct in making that, or it's friends and family visiting.
Visiting, okay.
Now, there is a business on that road
Okay.
as well, so it'd be their workers. There's numerous people that
Okay.
drive that road. Not a large number, but there is numerous clientele, if you would call it that.
And then one last question to follow up on
As
that.
you want, Councillor.
Sorry. So through you, Mayor, again, to the director, that 9% that we're seeing on incoming, because the speeds on incoming they seem, and outgoing, actually, it looks the opposite. Is that an area of concern where that percentage is higher than other roads we see? So is that 16.71% of people going the speed limit? Because they're not going over the speed limit, right? Or am I reading that wrong?
So are
This-
you looking at the pie graphs
Yeah, yes.
for incoming?
Both. So it only goes to 80 kilometers an hour. So I guess they're not speeding, right? Because they're going the speed limit. So
Yes.
is anybody, I guess my question is anybody speeding on Chess Road?
There's a few that are in excess of,
Which you caught?
which we caught as the non-normal ones with the excessive speed. Everything else was in that range of between 71 and 80 or 61 to 70. They were all captured in those speed groups, except for the ones that they're the one-offs where they're going faster than.
And how many would that be? Just out of, if you know?
I think it was 4.
So it's just 4 that were going over the speed limit.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's just more data thank you.
Councillor Ward?
And back through you, Mayor, to the director, Hyman, one more question. Is that common? Do we see that? Do we see that people often think that there's a lot of speeding going on? But I think we've had this discussion before where it's actually just the sound of the vehicle and perhaps, like, is it often 4 vehicles or do we have other problem areas that we see more speeding on?
So through your Mayor Broad, so one, it's the perception of speed. People sitting out on their deck and a car goes by and it looks, oh, that looked like it was going by fast, right? Or I know for myself when I'm at my house and I'm walking the dog and somebody passes me, I'm thinking, yeah, they're moving, but maybe they're not moving because it's this speed versus a vehicle coming at you. We've had the speed sign up in numerous locations, Lakeshore Drive, Maple Street and Iroquois, and they're installed because of a concern issue. So yeah, you do see speeds greater than 50, but at least this has given us an idea of, based off of the 85th percentile, what are 85% of the people traveling? And normally they're traveling within the speed posted or lower.
No, I'd say that's a pretty good rate, 85% within the speed limit.
Except for this one where it was 85% are within the 70
Yeah,
speed.
right.
So, and lower, yeah. So,
Councillor Vito?
Through you, Mayor. Okay, so after hearing all that, it sounds like we got some really great people on Chess Road that are really great at following the speed limit. So if the problem is there's people that want to be walking their dogs or walking on the road and there's not a very good path for them and whatnot, and 80 kilometers an hour, the speed limit, but 80 kilometers an hour is too fast to allow for that, then I would say lower it to 60. They abide by the speed limit. 60 kilometers an hour is better for the pedestrians that are walking, and it looks like they're following the posted speed limit, so there's nothing to indicate that they wouldn't if we reduced it to 60. And if that makes it safer for the pedestrians, that's great.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. And I concur with what Councillor Bino was saying. I think there's a perception of, okay, was a complaint that they're speeding, or was a complaint that at 80 kilometers an hour is just a little bit too fast for that classification for the road based on it? I'm kind of hearing it's not really the perception that people are speeding. It's just they're saying at 80 kilometers an hour it's a bit fast to what they would like. I tend to agree with Councillor Vino. I mean, if it is a road that is a shared road with walkers, I don't think this is any different than Lakeshore Drive, than when you get past Mariah Town when there's walkers, and I think it's 80 kilometers, 70 kilometers? 60, okay, so it's 60? It's 60, so.
Yeah, it used to be though.
Yeah, so it's 60 kilometers an hour, so I don't see there being much of a difference to what's being proposed here, so I kind of tend to concur. It wouldn't bother me if it went down to 60 kilometers an hour, just for the safety factor of the walkers and whatnot.
Certainly, if we're gonna make a change, try and make it impactful to the people using it, that it's physically changed to much lower speed. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, through Mayor Broad to the Director, how long is Chess Road?
Through you, Mayor Broad, about 1.5, 1.6 kilometers.
Yes. 60?
Through you, Mayor again. I was just going to say, I was going to stick with the 70, but I mean, it's such a short road. It just, Councillor Vino just said you can barely get up to speed anyway before you have to stop. So 60 is fine.
Quick run.
Thank you, Mayor Broad. So procedurally, if somebody could put forward a motion to amend the motion to reflect 60, then we can capture it in the bylaw.
Okay.
To move in second.
Councillor Vino would like to move to amend the resolution to 60 kilometers an hour, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Okay, so we'll amend it to 60. We're good? Okay. I have a resolution. Let it be resolved that the Council of Municipality of South Dundas amend Schedule A of Bylaw 2558 by changing the speed limit of Chess Road from County Road 1 Carmen Road to the end from 80 kilometers an hour to 60 kilometers an hour. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Are we okay, Clerk, to finish my resolution? This resolution is correct. Yes, it is correct. I got lost in the rates word wasn't in the resolution, so
Correct,
I
yeah.
got worried that
The name of the bylaw doesn't have the rates, but the schedule for.
does have the rates.
Yes.
Very good. And I looked back at last year's meeting minutes of said meeting, and it's the same one, so I'm the one mistaken, so we'll yeah, no, just because the title wasn't the same as the thing, and that's my fault on that one. Okay, so we're looking back to 8A, the 25A7 wastewater 26 rates. So I have a resolution, let it resolve that 2025-87 being a bylaw to amend Schedule B to bylaw 2017-58 to enact rules and regulations, respect, install, repair, replace, or alter water meters and related apparatus, including penalties of offenses, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed, and the bylaw 2024-83 be rescinded in its entirety. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Apologies to the clerk for my mistake. Boards and committees. In the last 2 weeks, I guess, we had our county council budget meeting. And if you tuned in, I was really adamant about the surplus. So more to come on the surplus at the county level to see where that money could and will be applied. We ended up at 4.48 increase over last year's budget. And we did get word that the OPP budget is increasing by 11%, so quite a bit of that money is going to fund the OPP, and hopefully not speeding on Chess Road. With that being said, anything to add from the budget meeting, no. Deputy Mayor? No. Okay, very good. Okay, consent agenda. 10A, South Nation correspondence to provincial proposal. B, audit approach, Salch LLP. South Dundas Fire and Emergency Services October 2025 stats. Minutes from the South Nation Conservation Board meeting, October 16th. Resolution, Town of Wasaga Beach, advocacy for funds effectively manage Emerald Ash Borer. F, resolution, Municipality of Calvin, strengthening self-defense protections. Resolution from Ajax, solve and crisis winter homelessness program. H, resolution, City of Brantford, professional activity days on municipal election days. And I, resolution, County of Northumberland correspondence, Great Lakes, St. Lawrence Cities Initiative. I have a motion, let it resolve that all the items on the consent agenda be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Okay, discussion items, and I will turn it over 11A to Deputy Mayor St. Pierre.
Okay, thank you. This is just a continuation from the delegation on the design options for the Mooresburg Plaza redevelopment. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Director David Jansen.
I thought you were going to sit in the big chair for a second, but just turning off the mic. No. So you guys heard from Greer Galloway tonight. They showed some of the work that we've completed so far and some of the design options. Like I kind of introduced, when I was introducing Brittany, the design brief is sort of the schematic, the feasibility, it's the time to flesh out the ideas. In all honest opinion, I don't want to spend too much time editing the design brief. I more want to take the concepts that are in the design brief, the discussions that we have going forward, not re-modify that document. And move past it. So take the ideas that are in it. If we want to modify something within that document, rather than modifying that document, just apply it directly into detailed design. So just trying to keep the project moving forward as our timelines get tighter and tighter here. From there, we do plan to consult with the businesses a little bit more. Obviously, we're working our way through some of the other plaza file as well. So we do have some open houses that I know the CAO and I have been talking about timing on. So we'll see how it lines up timing-wise. Either we'll do them in tandem, just in respect of everybody's time, or if it doesn't quite align, we'll push this one along a little faster and see where it lands. But the plan is to consult with businesses. Obviously, that feedback, you're trying to balance a little bit harder there, the needs versus wants. In there. Obviously, this project's quite costly to the municipality, and we just got to make sure that we're getting what we need, not what some of the nice to haves and stuff like that. From there, I'll start going through some of the design options within my report. I'll try and go one at a time, and I know some of them will end, I'm sure, in a little bit more of a discussion, and some of them will be a little bit faster. So the design report does start with kind of the option A, option B, kind of a holistic design. The consultant and staff worked quite a bit off of, I believe it was 2009, the parking study was done. Obviously, I was in high school then. It's been a little while. So we updated it, modernized it a little bit from there. I was quite surprised to see the parking numbers. So if council was reviewing there, you actually see an increase in parking, and almost all the options we do, we can design for an increase in parking, which I was kind of surprised to see. The staff recommendation is sort of to move forward with option A, which is a similar-ish layout to what we have now. I will say, and I noted in my report, even just on my end, there's a few little things I'd like to take into detailed design, mostly on the west end beside the Independent. I'd like to see, right now it splits into that one.
Can somebody bring up the two options on the screen? I know the report's there, but I think for our benefit, I think the options, if we could get option A and B where it's easily enough to flip over, or I don't know if you've got the ability to stack them in one view, but I just think it'd be easier if we could just bring it up. So then, because I'm sure we're going to discuss a few little things there, if that's possible.
I'll see. To piggyback, T, if you can pull up the Greer Galloway report or presentation, that might work. My insight on option A is that just where we split and we go into the one-way traffic, just working with the consultant, it might cost us a few parking spots, but if we can keep the two-way traffic and keep a little bit of a tighter parking area there, I guess, against Laura's. And I think that would also, I know the deputy clerk isn't here today, but she brought up the garden center, consideration in there that maybe the garden center can end up in that area rather than where it currently goes, and just trying to find that right balance. So just looking for any feedback that council wants us to take into detailed design on the parking options.
Okay, while you're just trying to find that, I should have asked maybe for that earlier, but a couple of things, just a couple of my comments. I think, first of all, I think less concrete is probably the better approach. I think, as we know, when we get into concrete sidewalks, we get in concrete areas, there always seems to be the problematic spots if there's any heaving or replacement or cracking or differential sediment, whatnot. And I'm not talking directly in front of the businesses. I think we either need to keep them concrete or even go with the Iroquois model and go with the patio stones, the interlock stones. I kind of like the interlock stones myself, because if there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them that need to be replaced, they can easily be replaced without being disruptive to the businesses. But I think we can explore that as we move down a little further. You talked a little bit about, and I actually wish maybe Mr. Young was still here, but Mr. DeHaan maybe had to answer this question from his county days. The daylighting that occurs at the roundabout now is really dictating where that parking lot goes on the angle. That I'm talking about the northwest corner. Does the county have a standard on daylightings around at the roundabout? And I'm just wondering if that is an area where it could be reduced, the daylighting could be reduced to take that parking and kind of move it over a little bit closer to the roundabout area. I just find with both options, that traffic flow and that connectivity, even in today, is really awkward. And I don't see either option A or B really improves on that. You're just kind of in option A, you're kind of coming down, then kind of stopping parallel to the stall, and then kind of making a little bbit of a right turn to kind of continue out going southbound. So I wouldn't mind, yeah.
Yeah, does this work? Yeah, there we go. I actually don't think the daylighting is really necessary in a roundabout, because really what you're looking at is the traffic that's in the roundabout itself. So that daylighting is just a echo of the former intersection that used to be there, where of course you needed to think about through traffic. So there may be an opportunity to encroach into that right of way if there is a desire to see that parking lot expanded. That's something that can definitely be explored.
Yeah, expanded or really, and I don't think you can perfectly square it off, but at least get a little bit more square, just again to push it back to get that drive aisle through that laneage through there is kind of something I was thinking about. In terms of the concrete, again, the concrete curbs inside of the main drive aisle, as you're kind of in option A, as you kind of go into the parking area from the main drive aisle. There, I noticed that there's still some concrete that delineates the end of the parking stalls. Not sure. Again, do you have that handy, close to getting that? Okay. So in option A, all I'm saying is, in terms of winter clearing, I know, and Jeff, maybe this is where Director Hyman can weigh in. If we start introducing kind of end of curb delineations for the parking, I could see that being a little bit more of a challenge with winter maintenance and winter clearance, where I would think that you would just want the concrete down the main aisle, main drive aisle, and then anything inside, we'll call it the common parking area. I would think you would just want to leave that kind of open-ended and just have a paint markings to delineate where the parking starts and stops. But I don't know if you've got a comment on winter maintenance.
No, you're exactly correct. The less obstacles to go around, the better. The more concrete islands is the more chance for concrete damage with plows hitting it and whatnot. So less is better when it comes to the common parking areas. I understand that we still have to separate traffic and traffic flow. I totally understand that. So where all those handicap parking stalls are, we're going to have to back blade out and clean it up. But the main common area, it would be ideal if there was less concrete.
Yeah, in option B, I see it looks like where the parking stalls are kind of facing each other this way. Is that intended that you were thinking concrete through that would go north and south?
And it's completely conceptual right now, but I think that was the consultant's plan.
Okay. Yeah, just from my perspective, I think less concrete is better. I think it's a lot more cost effective just to have to repaint it every couple years or every 3 years versus having to redo some curb work. So that's, and I think in terms of drainage, it probably helps better with drainage as well because there's less obstacles. So that'd be my couple comments. I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not convinced about reducing or removing the parking stalls in front of the storefront. I think we can, if I recall, Director Hyman, when we kind of looked at that and we kind of made all the parking on an angle to help that when you're going from west to east along the front, you can just drive in and you easily come out where you're not, you weren't coming in on a 90-degree angle and trying to do a couple turnarounds. So, I think we could protect the storefronts by adding, and I noticed that I think it's Dollarama added all them bollards to the front just to protect from vehicles to the store. But I'm not convinced either way. I just think for accessible handicap parking spots, it's a lot more convenient to have their parking right directly in front of the stores. I just think it's easier than trying to maneuver across from parking areas to the storefronts. But again, that's just my opinion. And I think before though we get too much further, I really do believe we need to have a meeting with the businesses, and it's just the businesses. I'm not sure at this stage we need to open this up to the general public. I think we should be presenting these concepts to the businesses. And yes, I know what you're going to get. You're going to get the I'd like to have, and then you're going to get, well, we should really have it. But I think we should get a working session right in the new year, after the new year with the businesses, whether it's here or another at the MAC where it's a bigger room, whatever, and really sit down and let's look at this. At the end of the day, it's their functionality that's really important in my mind. It's their functionality to the businesses. So I'd like to get some good input from the businesses before we get too much further. And then if there was still a desire to go to general public, at least we've got a concept that's been tweaked or a couple concepts that's been tweaked based on their direct input. So that would be my opinion. I'll open it up for everybody else's opinion. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, just given the two options that are given there, option A is going to be a big change, just in perception from the public, just because they've been used to for 75 years to parking one way, and now we're going to have to park the other way. But I do think that option A is my preferred option. As far as getting rid of the angled parking in front of the stores, I was trying to find it was on the presentation about they're installing a curb in front of, like, the sidewalk is going to be built up and it's going to be curbed. Like, there's going to be a lip, on that screen right there. I don't know if I would go with that, because as soon as we do that, it's permanent. And I'd like to see maybe a hybrid option that you could give. It would be at pavement level, but you could give each individual business the option of what they wanted to put in front of their store. If they chose to say it's a restaurant and they wanted to do something like an outdoor patio, you could have an outdoor patio. If it was, say, a pharmacy, they may want to choose to have a handicap parking zone where you don't go on an angle, but you may go lengthways. And you could give each business the option of how they want to treat the space in front of their store. I thought that would be a great way to do it. And if it was at pavement level, all you may have to do is just paint it a different color or something like that. And it would be up to the business to do that. That was the first thing that popped into my head. Other than that, that was really my biggest concern, what I saw so far.
Do you get any input? No? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I always have input about the plaza. So I think, obviously, I prefer option A as well. I think it is a good design. I appreciate that the traffic moves better. I frequent that plaza at least twice a week. So I think the way the parking structure is in option A, it will be easier. I don't think that there should be storefront parking. I see how it works now. I see who uses it now. I understand it's more accessible. I understand it's easier for them to use, but I also see the hazard of it. I've almost seen multiple accidents. There has been multiple accidents there before. So I think removing that from I'm looking at it from the municipality's perspective, from a liability perspective, since we own it. I'd like to get rid of it. I think that it's a liability. I like the idea of having like a little optional like drop off, like that was mentioned in the report. I think that might kind of curb all the concerns. Like you can, you can drop off your honey to get her hair cut, and then you can move on your way to wherever you need to go. So I kind of like that. Yeah. So in option 3, it's outlined there. And then the other thing, I really think that we need to, since this is a municipal asset, I'm looking at it again from the municipality, not for what benefits businesses and everything else. I do think that I really like the one concept I saw about like permanent, like little benches and whatnot, to make it kind of a space where people can go and connect. And I also see it as a benefit to the businesses in the long run if they wanted to do like a Christmas market, or they wanted to do a sidewalk sale or anything like that. I think that long term, that investment would be well received by everyone in the township, and in a great space for everyone to connect. And I think in the rec master plan, they talked about making spaces where people can connect. So that would check kind of that box in my mind. So that's kind of my comments. I agree about the concrete. I have my reservations about pavers, because they also can kind of be a nightmare sometimes, but I agree with both comments, and I'm looking forward to moving this forward and getting some feedback and seeing where staff take it.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with your comments, Councillor, on that 5-minute loading areas. If we had a few of them along the storefront, I think that would add. And I don't disagree with your benches, and I'm not sure if you can bring it up, the beautification that was in front of the malls. I'm not opposed to that. I'm just wondering out loud here, though, who is going to be responsible to maintain that area, and who's going to be responsible for the benches. And I don't want to go back to a discussion of what we talked about before on the levies and stuff, because that's not part of this report, but that kind of may add so I guess what I'm saying is, if we can get the businesses to get on board with some of that, maybe they would be willing to help us with the maintenance of the benches and just making sure they're clean and whatnot. Again, in my opinion, I think the next step, which is all good options here, David Jansen, Director Jansen, I think they're all good options. I just think the next step, we need to get in front of the businesses and let's present this report to them. And again, let's get the likes, let's get the wants, let's get the needs, and then we can probably finalize this report, or not finalize the report, but implement any design changes into the actual final design stage. Would that be a fair approach? Yeah.
And yeah, how I started my presentation today, that is definitely the plan. Like that's how I opened today, is that was the plan. But I did want to collect a little bit of council's feedback just before we get there. Obviously, we had the delegation today. We want to make sure that we're continuing to move the project forward. Yeah. If I can, I'm going to keep going through my report, which I just did section 5. I think we jumped a little bit all over the place, so I got a little bit of intel to go into the next sections. Obviously, 5.1 is storefront parking. I think I heard from everybody a little bit here. I'll give you the little bit of the staff side of it. So I'll admit that if you go on the in the archives and the archive of the leader, you can look up, I think 3 stores have been hit in the last like 20 years. And obviously that has a big cost to these stores. It's a huge safety concern. So looking at it from that perspective, from a traffic flow perspective, how many times have you been going through the plaza and you have to wait for somebody to sort of half back out and you play a game of chicken of who's going to go first? So, and then the other item that comes up is accessibility. So you see there's a lot more accessible spots being added. Angled parking spots are very difficult to make into a type B accessible parking spot where you need that side load. They align better into a 90-degree set. So that was some of the recommendations that we brought forward and we worked with the consultant on. And that's what sort of led to the options we had. Obviously, I know it's a big change. So that's where we kind of found that balance with the loading zone. Kind of trying to find the right balance, but ultimately, it is a municipal asset long term, whatever direction we want to go. But the staff and the consultant, like we've worked together and we sort of recommend either, removing it or going with the loading zone. But if council wants to keep that as a municipal asset, then we're open to that discussion as well. So moving along, we get into the sidewalk replacement. So you heard the 3 options kind of outlined there, sticking with, traditional concrete sidewalks, stamped concrete, and then interlock. I think what I wrote in my report is sort of a recommendation of the 2, and I think it'll help show paths of travel is sort of what I was what I was envisioning for. So some of the more recreation, lay down social areas, you go with either the interlock or the stamped concrete. When you're showing a path of travel, whether it be, along the courtyard, under, you do those in a traditional sidewalk form. And just to try and find that aspect between, the cheapest option is, yes, just to put in the sidewalk, but trying to find that ratio between, aesthetics, a place to welcome people to as when they come to our community. So that was sort of the recommendation there. But if I'll take a little bit of feedback from council, how they feel with regards to stamped concrete, interlock, and that plan.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, so just a question. So in the area that we're talking about where the angled parking is right now, where the potential new public area could be, is there any underground services directly under that area?
There'd just be storm.
Storm only, okay. Yeah. And is that going to get rebuilt during this project?
And I think it's outlined in the plan, with quite a bit of the changes in layout, there's quite a bit of storm work that would get done and upgraded to.
So it would all be new, so that if the fear of having to rip it up later, if we go do some fancy concrete work, and then the last thing you'd want to do would be rip it up. So I was just curious on that. Myself, I'm a fan of the stamped concrete, but whatever.
Yeah, I'll comment on that. I'm a fan of stamped concrete when it's in a landscape around a pool scenario. I'm not convinced stamped concrete in this case. I think for the cost difference, I think it would behoove us just to stick either with just straight concrete or with pavement. That'd be my opinion.
I'm amenable to either. I think if you could come back with what it would look like after you talk to the businesses, then we can maybe look at it after. It doesn't matter.
Okay, businesses. We'll leave it. We'll
No, and
discuss
I think
with
that
the
fits very
business.
well with me, because a lot of if we did the concrete, the traditional sidewalks and sort of the paths of travel, that's the areas where winter maintaining. And then you're reducing your wear and tear a little bit more on your interlock and your stamped concrete, whichever option we end up going there. But at least we've got the feedback to go to the businesses that, yes, we want to focus a little bit on some beautification. So at least we can have a productive conversation there.
Yeah, okay.
The next section I have is some of the site amenities that we included. So there's an entire section on the report on, I refer to them as, a lot of them are the nice to haves. I know I put my my market down the courtyard in there, something I'd love to see, but obviously it comes up as a nice to have. I think the refuge storage in the back, the fence, it would be beautiful. I think it would really help with anybody driving by on 5th Street. But I don't think it really fits, it's one, I don't know if the municipality should be providing that service, and two, I don't know if it fits within our budget. So the only thing I really looked at in here was just some small, making sure that we have shrubberies anywhere we do have concrete, and then also looking to make sure that we do have correct recreational, so if we did, have that recreation space, that we have the picnic tables to match, that it's not just in a vacant space. I'll keep moving along.
Just a second, Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So the only thing I wanted to say was that, while I can appreciate that they're nice to have, and I completely wholeheartedly agree with you, I do want to make sure that whatever design we go forward with does account for the future, because there might be an opportunity to invest or get a grant there for the future. So just if there's any design component that we're cutting out because it's a nice to have, maybe we should consider long-term, just making sure there's space for those kind of things, because I do think maybe in the future there might be money there or some interest, maybe a business can sponsor it. So, but yeah, I appreciate that sense.
No, and I trust on a day like today, I certainly have some staff who would love the heated sidewalks. So, from there we go into rear parking. I think this one's a fairly small decision, but it was outlined in the report, so I did want to put it in there. Currently, most of the parking spots out back are unmarked. One spot I do see this as it's going to be really nice to see is not the traditional rear of the mall, but there's a side parking lot that's sort of behind Subway and the RIP beer store, that I think having marked parking could be long-term very beneficial. And I mean, it's a small cost. So I think that's sort of the direction I was recommending to move forward there. Looking at some of the subgrade infrastructure. So obviously the storm, we're going to end up rearranging a little bit. And I know Brittany brought it up in her presentation with regards to, the eaves troughs off the canopies and stuff like that. So the storm upgrade will be nice to have. And then from there, we'll look at the water and sewer. The plan is to update all the infrastructure. We are looking a little bit at rerouting a few of the lines if it makes sense, just trying to find the right economics in there. And then in the areas that we're already doing excavation work and digging, I suspect it'll be more economical to replace with new infrastructure. If there's an entire area that we end up just milling, we'll look at the economics between relining. But ultimately, I mean, this isn't really the most attractive stuff. This is the, get the right stuff in for the best price. Moving along, we get into lighting. So in the slideshow earlier, the parking lot lighting, I think the recommendation from staff is to sort of match the streetscape. So we'd go with the Eggcorn lighting. The recommendation I have is to switch what most people would know as the post lighting right now, which is currently a little bit more of a lantern style, to a downlight. So if we add more Eggcorn style in the parking lot, that we switch to a little bit more of a direct pathway. So it'll still provide like the correct illumination for walkers, but it won't illuminate the entire area quite as much. That's my recommendation, but it's another one that we can collect a little bit of feedback from the businesses. But if it gets too bright at night, sometimes it can be hard to see in as well. There's that whole, the correct amount of illumination, so.
Okay.
And then there's the last one that's within my report that wasn't within Greer or Galloway's. Now is a little bit of the time to start having the discussion with regards to the clock tower. So I outlined a couple options here. If council remembers our level of service document from asset management, this was an asset that we had considered, not keeping long-term for the municipality. Obviously, it is reaching towards the end of its life. So in the report, I did propose 3 options. One would be to remove the clock tower and replace it with a piece of infrastructure that still commemorates the seaway times. I talk about I think council's seen it before. I still have the bell in storage. So whether we put the bell on display with a little bit more of a plaque, and rather than having a large building as the asset, we still have something to commemorate it. I know I've talked internally with staff. Apparently there's a model kicking around somewhere of the old town. I've been to a few cities that have bronze copies of their old town. I'd love to see, maybe you just have something like that, a little platform with a replica of the old town rather than the whole clock tower. Option number 2 would be just to remove the clock tower and open it up for more recreational social spaces. And then obviously option 3 would be to repair the clock tower. But then we are looking at, an additional, I'd estimate probably an additional $100,000 onto this project that we'd be looking at repairs to bring the clock tower back up. So happy to take some feedback from council and what we're gonna start working into the final design here.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. So I appreciate option 1. I think that's the one I'd be looking for. I love the idea of the bell or the bronze plaque or whatever you want to call it, the model. That's really interesting. I'm not from this area, so I also, when I visit areas that I'm not from, I love to learn about the history and whatnot. And I'm sure if we redo the plaza and it's a beautiful space and people can walk through it, they'd appreciate that as well. Just getting to know what it is, why it's there, and et cetera. But I also know that the clock tower holds some historical value to some members in this room as well. So amenable to that as well, because I'm not quite sure where the history of the clock tower is or came from, to be quite honest. So I don't want to kill history to get a plaque of history.
Councillor?
Yeah. I'll be honest, I really don't know where to land on the clock tower issue. I maybe we should just leave this one up to the business owners, just do a straw poll amongst them and see what they say. I don't know if I don't really know if removing it's the cheapest option just to remove it and not do anything. But is that the right thing to do? Should it be rehabbed? I don't know what to do. I think we'll leave this up to the business owners maybe.
Yeah, my perspective, I like option 1 with the bell and even if we had a couple plaques, maybe a plaque that shows the original, and I'm sure we can get it through the leader, plaque showing the original mall and the history of the mall. Maybe we could have something like that. A couple different features. I mean, maybe that's something we could also do in Iroquois as well, right? So I don't mind option 1. Again, I don't know the full history of the clock tower. I personally like the clock tower. I always think that's kind of a feature of the mall, built in the clock tower. I'm not sure if that's the way we should go at all, but so I really don't know the full history of the clock tower, admittedly. I would like to see something there, though. Just having an open space, I think, is going to be a little bit a blah, to be honest with you. I think we need to try to beautify the mall. We're on the concept of maybe throwing some benches and planter boxes and whatnot in and around. So I think something to complement that. I would like to maybe get a little bit more history on that clock tower to make sure that we're not taking down something that has this historic value, maybe value to it, and not in the sense of money value, but just value to it. So if we can bring that back and then present that to the stakeholders as well and get their feedback. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just add one thing to that, that item? So I just want to also be clear with staff, if it's the clock that's historical, if there's a way that it can just be like without the whole structure, you know, like you often see in other places where it's just a wrought iron structure that's holding a clock. If it's the clock that's historical, great. If the rest of it can come down, I think that would be great as well. But maybe just to clarify on that too, like there might be an option to work with just if the clock is important, then maybe just feature the clock. You know what I mean? Or a clock, if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, that's all great feedback, and I know our archivist watches almost every single meeting, so I'm sure I will come in tomorrow morning to an email with full history. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, go ahead, CEO Bendahan.
Thanks. So great discussion this evening, Council. I guess I'm starting to think from the project perspective, getting this design complete out to tender. I'm hearing and which is completely fair, and I think a good approach. Going to the business owners and getting some of their input on some of the I'm going to call it the. If I'm hearing council correctly, is the aesthetic elements. So trying to get a good understanding of that. Did I comprehend that council felt comfortable with the layout of option A? And then, because what I would really like to do, and I think Director Jansen would agree with me, is at least then if we have that, then the consultant can start working on the underground design, some of the grading elements, also like the deputy mayor's comments with respect to eliminating as much concrete in option A as we can, very sound, and so give them that direction, and at least we can keep that. Some of the, I'm going to call it the bones of the project moving, because the one thing I don't want to do is kind of pause things for a month, because we're going to lose 2 weeks at Christmas time, and here we are, it's the end of January, and I would hate to have not had any progress from their side of things. So if that's, we're kind of like landing on option A, landing on, and then work through those aesthetic elements. I just want to make sure I've understood that correctly as we move forward.
2 against 1. I was going to say I think we should put a pause until we meet with the stakeholders. I mean, again, to your point, it was just to your point. We are getting into the Christmas holidays. I'm not sure that the consultants, I'm not going to speak on their behalf, are just waiting to do something by the time Christmas comes. They're probably winding down on other projects. They were going to be away for probably 2 weeks. Most consultants kind of shut down a week and a half or so. I don't know if they're going to gain any traction, to be honest with you, if we were to try to book something the first week of January or the second week of January. However, the 2 councillors have said option A is their preferred. That's majority, and that's what we'll move forward with until we get the feedback and they want something different, and then we'll be changing it. But anyways, yeah, again, I don't think there's any fear anyways, CAO Dahan, that even if the engineers started to prepare final stuff, I'm sure if there's tweaks here and there, like you say, or if they're inside, I think what we're concluding is the main aisle is fine. We don't know if we're going to have interior parking or storefront parking or not. That's up in the air. If we have, I think we've all concluded we want less concrete inside of the main parking areas. So it's really parking stalls and paint lines at that point in time. And then we can explore at the same time if we can get some more land on the northwest corner. That's going to play into something as well. So I think there's a little bit of fact finding that we have to do, but I'm okay with moving ahead with the options that both councillors want to move forward with. I would just caution them that this isn't final until probably in a month we'll be able to finalize it more. But okay.
To the point of so the way I foresee the kind of going back to the county is actually telling our consultant, hey, look, how do you optimize this area? because we think we have a great relationship with the county, and if there's a way to improve circulation and improve, add some more parking, create a little more of efficient parking lot, what does that look like? Because I think that's a little bit more powerful to go to the county and say, can we acquire this piece of your right of way? So that's how I would want to move that element of this forward.
Yeah, no, agreed, and recognizing too. I mean, I know that there's a sign feature that's at that same corner, and I'm not suggesting that we're going to get rid of that. I think we can maneuver that around and keep that by just moving it a little bit again towards the roundabout, which probably wouldn't impede the sight lines, help with that parking flow and traffic flow in that corner. So, yep.
And just to continue on that, I will say, like, the BIA, when it was still around, did want to remove the cedar hedges at each end of the roundabout, which is the exact area that you're looking at. So, like, some of the businesses are already on board with that. I sort of delayed it until this project came up anyway, just because it made more sense to do it all at the same time. And I know whenever I was presenting option A, like, I had some ideas on the west end already, and I think some of your ideas, Deputy Mayor, will meld together fairly well there. So.
Yeah, and I mean, the reality is, it is just a long, narrow parking area. There is just so much that can be created there. And yeah, whatever change we're going to do is going to be popular among some and not popular among others. But I think we do have to move forward with something, because this is the time to do it. Because if we miss this opportunity this year, I don't know if we're going to come around to it. So I don't want to get bogged down on having long, drawn out meetings. It just let's give them the opportunity to share their opinions, and then we'll try to implement whatever we can. And there may be a possibility we just can't. But I think whatever we do is probably going to be a great improvement. So, okay, we'll leave it at that. So we're going to try to schedule something first week of January, second week of January, if we can.
Yeah, I'd suggest realistically, you're probably second week of January. Yeah. Everybody's getting back into the routine of going back to school, so it might be difficult any earlier than that.
Okay, so let's have it in, and let's inform council, because I'm sure some of the council members, if not all, would like to at least listen in, so we can get the feedback directly from them as well might as well make it a useful meeting for everybody. So, okay, fair enough. Okay, thanks. Thanks for the work. I think that report, just as they're coming in, was useful. I mean, it did tell us a little bit about the electrical and the underground stuff, which is all the stuff, the geotech, getting the geotech report and stuff, which is a bonus there. So, but what we're going to get hung up on is traffic flow. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And continuing on, couple more short discussion items. Just wanted to add to the agenda tonight, the Eastern Ontario Economic Development Fund. So last week, the Honourable MPP Vic Fidelli was in town, and we had a great chance to meet with him at Alacor, our new soybean processing plant that's well under construction. Overall $24 million investment, and the Ontario government's getting in $1.5 million. So just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. I'm sure you probably all read about it, and we've been sharing the stories about it, but that was great news. It's just another announcement in South Dundas. So, second piece was, since the previous council meeting and county council meetings where we had brought forward a resolution on snowmobile trail closure in Ontario, the provincial government have announced that they are doing some funding to the Snowmobile Federation to allow all the trails to open up that they originally had. So I know it's a good benefit to Riverside Club and Upper Canada and Nation Valley and all the ones in our area for sure. So just wanted to bring that resolution and conversations we had with our MPPs was a success at this point. And moving forward, we'll see if they increase the fees to help this funding or whatever, because obviously it should come from the users at this point. So interested to see what the long-term future is on that one. And then lastly, we had talked at our budget meeting last Friday about a committee of the whole meeting. So I'd like us to do that in the daytime, probably a 4-hour morning session. So just looking for potential dates, maybe in March or April. Not that we have to pick the date right this second, but want to bring that aware, and maybe Clerk LeBrun could send a survey around, but wanted to make sure we all agreed would take the time to do that, to do the fleet schedule and then intercross with other funding type patterns that we kind of talked about that day, as we manage a plan as well. Does that overlay each other on that? So I'll have Clerk LeBrun send out maybe a survey of a few dates. March, April. CO Dahan, that's kind of, that timing probably works for directors to pull together. Okay, very good. So I just want to get that on our radar. That'll be coming. And lastly, last meeting, we had notice of South Nation support for a resolution for support, and kind of wanted to think about a little bit about the wording of it, just about that we support that they make sure they engage, not knowing all the outcomes. So I think we worked on a kind of an update, Clerk Brun, so that you wanted to share with us.
Thank you, Mayor Broad. So the resolution before council this evening reflects the changes that were shared with staff. I'm happy to read the resolution again. However, you've had a little bit more time to read it. So if everyone's comfortable with this resolution, then we can move in.
Yeah, we had read it or whatever, so we update it. Okay, very good. I just need a mover and seconder of the resolution. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, any other notices of motions? Ratification bylaw, let it resolve that bylaw number 2025-90, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with resolution, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. And the call for adjournment at 8:04. Resolution. The council of Dundas adjourned to call the chair. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. So as we bring our council meeting to a close for December the 10th, 2025, it also is our last council meeting of 2025, and we'll be back in 2026. It'll be our last year of term of this council, so we're looking forward to an exciting 2026. I really want to thank everyone in South Dundas, whether you work, reside, play, part of the municipal staff. We had a great 2025. Looking forward to 2026. I want to thank the staff and the directors here tonight for all their support throughout and all our departments. Thank you to all, and thank you to the council team. And I really just want to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and in 2026. So that's good night from South Dundas.